We are turning here left. And then we go to the upper room. We are not yet there. Across the world, which is very rare, by the way, that all agree about that being the upper room. Okay? And this is really a rare thing, but we have here a problem. If you look, everybody can hear me, by the way. If you look up, what type of arches you see here? Remember we talked about arches? These are Crusaders' arches, pointy and crossing bars, which means this building is maybe 850 years. So how that correlate with the time frame of Jesus and the upper room 2,000 years ago, right? It's a viable question to ask. The answer is very simple. It is the site, the location. The building is a new one. We read the scriptures that Jesus told his disciples, go to the Mount of Zion, follow a man carrying your water, and he will provide you with a room, with a shelter and dinner. This is a place. That building probably gone. And this is part of that Crusader church exists below the one that we've seen outside, which destroyed and rebuilt by the Crusaders, and that was part of that, commemorating the upper room. Okay? So, during the Muslim period, this building, historically, they made it a mosque. How do we know that? Look at the wall over there. You see that is not belonging, that structure with a niche. It is an indicator for the Muslims to know to which way to pray toward Mecca. But this is completely new stuff that added to that wall. You also can see the windows, the calligraphy, Arabic. And if you look to the right-hand side, there, look at this, like a little mosque with the moon on the top, and this is where the preacher would stand there, Muslim one, and would talk to the people. So it's become a mosque a few hundred years back. But this was during the Crusader time, the structure where it's believed to be then, and still today, the upper room. Now something else happened here, not just the Last Supper. Pentecost happened here too. This was a place where the Christian followers, the early, could fit in here 200, 300 people. And here, the Holy Spirit came upon the people 49 days after the resurrection, allowing them to spread the word in various different languages. So show you that bird, how we call that bird that feed from its pocket, its fish, pelican. It's an important motive in Christianity of Crusaders period, how like Jesus letting his follower to eat his heart. That's what it symbolizes here. Do you see that? Additionally, this is where it is. You feel like you should go there?
I always enjoy going there.
All right.
Is the men on one side, women on the
Yeah,
other?
we'll see if it's not packed with people. So we'll go down, turn right and right. And this is the Tomb of David. Men will go to the men's section. You'll have to keep on your hat. If you don't have one, you'll get a kippah. Women, we pass that, and I'll show you where the women go. This is the Tomb of David according to tradition, and the tradition is so old, 2,000 years. And we did some excavation behind the tomb. Relics discovered there show that the place is maybe 2,000 years old, but not David time. So, once again, don't spoil good story with the actual facts. More than the flag of Israel on the Star of David, we're talking about the menorah, and every Israeli passport, official document, you have that symbol. This is the most important symbol. So I guess everybody knows that, but there's another one with 9 branches. And this is, we lit it in Hanukkah. Hanukkah, that you know it, it has 9 branches. And that is different, completely different from the regular 7 branches menorah. It is lit only in Hanukkah days, We're turning here right. And this is to celebrate, unlike most Israelis and the people think, the modern church is also beautiful. We are not bothering with it. We're turning sharp left downhill. Take pictures, come around the wall, and we're going to the real dungeon over there, which is really, I consider it a miracle that we are here and can take it before the other groups come down, before Doron comes with his group. Well, people come down to the dungeon. We will have a real session here, and we have
some comes from Psalm 88. It's in 51 different languages here.
What one are you going to do?
Well, I thought about Chinese, but Lucy did not read.
Lucy can read that one.
Psalm 88 says, O Lord my God, by day I cry out, at night I clamor in your presence. Let my prayer come before you. Incline your ear to my call for help, for my soul is surfeited with troubles, and my life draws near to the netherworld. I am numbered with those who go down into the pit. I am a man without strength.
Full of food, probably different grains and different commodities, olive oil and who knows what. Everywhere you see, you can see that carving of those many rooms, indicating of the presence of a very rich man, maybe Caiaphas. We come to this little staircase, we come to the corridor, we will stop again and we can do another reading here, because okay, we are waiting for everybody to join us. To walk, when we finish talking here, you'll see the staircase. Consider to be the staircase that when Jesus and the disciples finished the Last Supper, where we just were in the upper room, they walked down with this staircase all the way down to the pool of Siloam. Okay, and from the pool of Siloam, they would walk left toward the church of Agony, where the oil press was. This is where he stayed the night. That same staircase, when he was captured after midnight, he walked up to here. On the same staircase, he walked up here and held here in a dungeon. Now, you can see here in this picture how they're walking down after the Last Supper. You can see the pavement, which we will see in real. And then that picture over there shows you the second part after midnight, after he was captured. He's brought up on the same staircase here to that dungeon. We understand that? Yes. So when we continue, you will see the staircase now. According to tradition, not tradition, maybe facts, during the Crusaders' times, they took part of this original staircase and took it to the Vatican. It is in the Vatican basement, some of it. But some of it still exists here. Now, this is also another place. If you look at this column, and the group doesn't show you, but because they're blocking the view, there's a man in a statue saying, I don't know him. This is St. Peter denying Jesus 3 times before the rooster calls. Okay, so now there's another view here that you can see, which is another view that we haven't seen, or we have seen, but look at the Mount of Olives. You can see the entire cemetery. Palm Sunday, you can see it. You can see the churches, Dominus Flavit, Master has wept church, and the Russian Mary Magdalene. If you go back on the mountain, you can see some of the towers, churches of Ascension. We can see the pinnacle, the southern wall, and Al-Aqsa Mosque, and far away in the horizon, the Hebrew University on the Mount of Scopus, and of course the Dome of the Rock.
Look what it says on the back, man. It says Jerusalem, and it's government stamp 925 silver, and the address being anybody would like to get one as a memory from the Holy Land? Raise up your hand, and the more you buy, the more we love.
Till 1967. And today, this is another Archaeological Museum of Jerusalem, one of many. That's a bedrock. It was a quarry, as you can see, and the Turks building the wall used the bedrock as a base for the wall above. You know, that's why they made narrow. What is interesting, look down below the window, there's a set of decorations. Now on the left-hand side, what do you see? Star of David, and this is a Turkish decoration. Amazing to see. Building, and it is maybe closer to the way it looks Jesus' time in that period of years, okay? Because this is parallel to what we did a little bit further down. You understand? So you can imagine this is to be the mountainside of the Mount of Olives, while Palm Sunday was done maybe 2.5 months further toward April when Passover is. Green boxes, this is how they bring the bodies into the burial. They bring them here and lay them down in a ditch, which is covered later on by the memorial. In this respect, it's quite similar. I'm sure that the Muslims within their homes and within their threshold, they keep the house very, very clean. But out of the threshold, this is really sorry to say that, they consider it as a place that you can litter. Okay, it's a public area. I'm not responsible for that cleaning it. And when we will walk now the Muslim quarter, we're going to walk in a Muslim quarter, you'll see the kids sometimes littering, taking a candy or ice cream. 3 or 4 years old kids throwing it down on the floor. Where does he learn it from? His parents. Just education. And as we get closer to the gate, you'll see that above the gate, there's a little room that allowed defenders to pour boiling oil or water or stones over the head of the siegers that are at the gate. So, you can see what I was talking about. This little place with a position to shoot arrows or a musket on the top. Let's walk inside. Interesting happened here in 1967 war when our forces came in. An Israeli tank drove through the gate and got stuck into it. So the soldier had to climb above or crawl below in order to get in. He got stuck in a passway. You can guess it is even a bigger deal here.
Is it?
And it's well appreciated, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yes,
That was the bigger deal.
Yes.
To
So
show,
it was more symbolic than anything else.
to show faith.
Well, it's
in the
more than
Israeli-
symbolic. It's we expect a wave of other countries to follow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Czech Republic moved their interests, and they're going to, and Australia are going to do that, and hopefully everybody will follow.
There was a Jewish festival, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now in Jerusalem, next to the sheep pool,
Hold on. Sheep pool, it is existed right here, near the sheep gate. Go on.
there is a pool called Bethesda in Hebrew, which has 5 porticos. And under these were crowds of sick people, blind, lame, paralyzed, waiting for the water to move. For at intervals the angel of the Lord came down into the pool, and the water was disturbed. And the first person to enter the water after this disturbance was cured of any ailment from which he was suffering. One man there had an illness which had lasted 38 years. And when Jesus saw him lying there, he knew he had had that condition for a long time. He said, "Do you want to be well again?" "Sir," replied the sick man, "I have no one to put me into the pool. When the water is disturbed and while I'm still on the way, someone else gets there before me." Jesus said, "Get up, pick up your sleeping mat, and walk around." The man was cured at once, and he picked up his mat and started to walk around.
Now that day happened to be the Sabbath.
So why the sheep gate or the sheep pool? I don't know if we explained that. People coming for Jerusalem 3 times a year, and they will have to sacrifice, they will not bring their sacrifice with them. They would buy the sheep at the sheep gate or the sheep pool here. Okay, because the sacrifice must be blemish, no torn tail or ear, something perfect. And if you walk 5 days or 6 days from Galilee, that's what happened. So people purchased here. Now this is the five porticos pool that we've seen from the model in the rain. So when you maybe were not very much concentrating, but there were 2 water pools divided by a jetty, we call it, or a barrier between the 2 pools. And on that they built 5th century is a church that's stretching here with the 3 apsises, and it starts from far away. If you look down here through that gate, you can see the stucco on the wall. This is one of the water cisterns. There were 2 pools. People would come here. Why? In the Shabbat. Why people would come here? Just like in up north in Caesarea Philippi, they came to worship Panias, remember? They worship here somebody else. We found here a worshiping pagan god Asclepius, who was a god of medicine. People come to be healed here. Asclepius, you heard of him? You all know his sign, his symbol. What do you have in a pharmacy when you go to the pharmacy? A snake. This is Asclepius, still today. And people would come to be healed here. And this is where Jesus came one Shabbat and healed that man. Okay? It's beautiful inside. Each capital is made differently. It's all perfect crusaders with fantastic acoustics. Let's go inside and try to take a position of the chairs in the front and sing. This is a church of flagellation where Jesus was beaten at the beginning of the Via Dolorosa. Walk in, take a look at this beautiful stained glass. We have here in this compound 2 churches, the church of flagellation and the church of condemnation where he was given the cross. We will visit them both. Briefly, you can see. the Temple Mount. Antonia Fortress, we are at it. Station 1 and 2, and maybe more. This is where it is. It was huge. And next to it, what is this? The 5 porticos? We just come from there. Pools of Bethesda. Either that or that, Sheep's Gate. Okay, Lion's Gate. So, he was condemned to death by crucifixion, giving here the cross to carry. And he walks with it outside of the city. Now, this is the wall. I try to describe it to you in a model. Okay, Jesus' time wall is this one. Third wall, Agrippa, 44, which means all that is a desolate area. And he was crucified outside of the city limit, condemnation gate, desolate area, and quarry. Where is that? It is right here. Skull Hill, Calvary, look like a skull, and you can see the 3 crosses. So the condemnation gate is here. In the case of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, if we talk about where we were yesterday afternoon, the garden tomb. So in this case, they walked out through a different gate, or maybe the same gate, but here instead of that one. Gate. Okay, we're going to get out of the city through there, and what we will do, we will walk from here through that gate to Calvary. Today, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is covering all of that. St. Helen, the mother of Constantinus the Great, the one who accepted Christianity, sent his mother to look for the holy relics in the Holy Land. She comes here, she dig there, and she finds the Calvary, the 3 crosses, and the tomb. And on that place, she built the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Why she had to dig? Because below it, during Roman time, they covered it. The Romans built 2 shrines. On a Temple Mount, they built a shrine for Jupiter, so the Jewish people forget the place of worshiping. And on that spot, they built a shrine for, what do you call this beautiful lady in a Roman, Aphrodite. Aphrodite. Stone, stratos, pavement. When Adrian put down the second revolt between 132 and the first revolt was 66 AD up to 70 or 73 when the temple was destroyed. The Jewish people rebelled once again, 132. Right after Adrian left, Emperor Adrian left the country. And for 3 years, the war was raging on, and eventually the Roman put down the second revolt. And this is when they changed the city name from Jerusalem to Aelia Capitolina, and they kicked out all Jews and Christians, which considered a Jewish sect at the time. They kicked them out of the city and made it a Gentile town. That's why they built on the Temple Mount a place for Jupiter and for Aphrodite on the Golgotha. You understand? And they put a huge stone pavement, which I showed you part of it near the Church of the Condemnation, and we'll see other part of it down below here. Okay? That one is 135, like 100 years after crucifixion. But down below it is a stone pavement where Jesus was probably beaten, because we are still in this big size. We just hardly walked out of that size. We are still in the Antonia Fortress area, okay, that has been destroyed. I'm going to show you a few maps. Okay, we all see that. And this is the wall of Jesus' time, of the city. This is the third wall. We got it, right? And here, where you can see, is the Golgotha that we're heading to, Calvary, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Antonia Fortress, this is where we are right now. This is Jesus' time. So the Via Dolorosa, marked in red, from here, it goes like this. We will walk like this, like this, like this, and then we have to go here. But there's a wall here, so we'll have to go around it to get in there. And this was outside of the wall. So the condemnation gate is somewhere here between gates 7 and 8. I'm going to show it to you. The condemnation gate, we know where it is for Adrian. just like the one I showed you in the morning below the gate that we passed, Nablus. That one I show you is one of these little ones. Here, outside, I'll show you part of the big one. And the two other ones stretching to the buildings on both sides of the road. You understand?
First of all, they accused him of being the Son of God, and so he's starting to get a little bit afraid. And then Jesus says, "You have no authority unless it's given to you by my Father from heaven." And now Pilate's really shaken, and here's what he says, or here's what happens. From then on, Pilate sought to release him, but the Jews cried out, "If you release this man, you are not Caesar's friend. Everyone who makes himself a king opposes Caesar." So when Pilate heard these words, he brought Jesus out and sat down in the judgment seat in a place called the Stone Pavement, and in Aramaic, Gabbatha.
All right? Let's proceed. From here, we're going to go to station 3 of the Via Dolorosa. The room above. The room above with the window is not original. And also the stucco below is not. But the rest is original. Imagine huge arch and two smaller archways that are in both buildings here and here. Okay? It's called Ecce Homo Arch. Behold the man. Station 3. Jesus fall under the cross for the first time. You can see there. Okay? Number 3, number 4. Michael and people in the back, forward, walking over the Via Dolorosa, seeing him passing with the cross. So this is 3 and 4. Okay, we're heading now to the next. With a lot of groups ahead of us. There's no rush. And the next station will be station 6. According to that story, Veronica wiped his face, and the emblem of the face stayed on a cross. Okay? And if you think of the name, walk straight up to station 8. Mark and the two ladies, you can stay in the street. Station 8, this is where Jesus told the women who were weeping as he passing by with the cross, "Don't weep over me, weep over your families, your children, that they're going to be killed, and the city is going to be destroyed." Station 8. You can see here the wooden crosses. Catholic groups carry the cross from the beginning, and at every station they with the cross, depending which groups, and they praying and leaving the cross. You can take pictures with it if you want. This is station 9. Where Jesus fall under the cross for the 3rd time. The main church and the Eastern churches, which are the monos. The monos believe, mainstream Christianity believes Jesus had two natures, okay? Dual physics, human and God. The monophysics, believe that Jesus was just God-like. And we're talking about the Armenian church, the Egyptian church, the Ethiopian church, and the Syrian. 4 Eastern churches. Early Byzantine periods, they split away from the main church, and this is the courtyard of the Ethiopians.
No.
The mosque, built by the Muslim when they took over the cities, 7th century, the Khalif took over the place. Omar ibn al-Khattab came here to the courtyard of the church, received from Sophronius the bishop of Jerusalem the keys of surrender, and the Khalif bent down on his knees and prayed toward Mecca, thanking Allah that gave him the city. And according to that story, where his knees touch the ground, the Muslim built this a mosque of Omariya. Omar al-Khattab was the name of the Khalif, and they full blast. They're calling for the prayer noontime. Okay, they have 5 prayers a day, and this is what happened. They just full blast for the noon prayer. That's the reality here. Okay, everybody's out. it's divided to two. This half belongs to the Catholic Church, this half to the Greek Orthodox. These people standing in line where we are not going to stand in line. Why is they standing in line? They want to go and put the hand into the hole of the Golgotha to touch the rock where the cross has been risen for the crucifixion. So, station 10, where the cross has ripped off. Look straight. This is station 11, where Jesus was nailed to the horizontal cross. You see the nails and the soldier on a horizontal cross, straight ahead. Everybody see that? And Mary standing on top at his foothill. The red-haired lady is Mary Magdalene. I'm talking about that straight ahead there. Jin, you got it? Okay, on the top, of course, different biblical sceneries. Now, after that was done, station 11, they have risen the cross to a vertical position and dug a hole in the Golgotha stone and put a stone. Squeeze into the room, everybody. You may see that the Golgotha stone is covered with glass. Why? Because people used to chop off pieces to take home as souvenirs of the Golgotha stone. You understand? So they're all doing that. Also notice on the top of the crucifixion above, you can see the sign in 3 languages, Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews. You see it on the top? Second Temple period burial site, we know for sure. Okay, you have enough air here? Let's walk a little bit outside. There'll be more air in the Catholic side. They have a large wing through their doors and behind the church. They are the 3rd largest owners of property in the church after the Armenians. Number 1, Greek Orthodox. Number 2, the Armenians. And only number 3, the Catholics. And after them, you have those smaller churches, the Ethiopians, Egyptians, and the Syrians. The crucifixion was done here in the Golgotha. People were wondering, scientists, because all that area was a big quarry. Like it says in the New Testament, a quarry, desolate place, and a condemnation. These are the 3 items that you can get a clue about where was it, right? So it was a huge quarry, and we wonder why that stone of Golgotha, Calvary, stayed in the middle of the big quarry, sticking out. One of the explanations is, or the theories is, that maybe that was a bad quality of a rock, cracked, so it was not good to use or chop it off for building material, and that's why it stayed, and this is where the crucifixion took place. So then gave an order to chop down with chisel all the column from the top to the bottom. That's what's left of that. And all this is Crusaders. You can see the typical Crusaders capital we haven't talked about is the basket. You see the basket, weaved basket? Typical Crusaders capitals. This is Corinthian, but this is typical Crusaders. Okay. Look up to the right-hand side there. Okay, the king and the family being baptized by the bishop, and following them, the entire Armenians as a nation accepted Christianity. We're talking about 5th century. Holy Cross retrieved by the Byzantine emperor and brought back to Jerusalem and put back into its position here. Only the Catholic and Eastern churches, they open up a box and show a piece of wood claiming that this is from the original cross. It could be done also here. But according to tradition, St. Helen came here and she found the Holy Cross, right? So how they could have that? Established 16th century. And one of the people who signed it was Philip de Albany. He was a teacher of Oliver Cromwell in Britain. Why I'm talking about him all of a sudden? Because I'm standing over his tombstone below. He was a pilgrim coming to the Holy Land, and he was sick and dying here, and he ordered that his bones or his burial site will be just in front of the entrance. This was another entrance. He wanted the people, he was such a humble man, he wanted the people to go through, to step over his tombstone. Luckily, the Turks, when they decided in Arab to close that gate, they put here a bench for the Turkish soldiers to go out and make law and order, and that's how it's been kept. It's on pace. Nobody will touch it because it is part of the status quo agreement. The story is that at a certain stage, the locals, Ottoman Turks, passed a decree that anything that comes into the church, any merchandise, has to be taxed. The Armenians, who control the second floor, got smart. They said, we're not bringing anything through the door. We'll lower a bucket. They brought out the ladder, and this is how they're done. And the ladder is since then there. Nobody can move it because it's mentioned, and they oppose. Remember, if you want to change something, all has to agree. And the last story is about 2000, when we expected millions of tourists for the year of Jubilee. So in the end of the 90s, the government of Israel came to the church, to the six churches, told them, guys, we expect millions of people, and this is the only entrance. There is no safety door. If there'll be a fire or some incident, people will be trampled. We are going to finance an escape door, an exit safety door. They said, great, very good. They convened, and this is this problem started. On whose turf? On which side? How would it look? Who will be the architect? And million other questions. Eventually, step back, nothing was done. The status quo agreement prevailed. So we can laugh at it on one way, but on the other hand, it works. It's a workable situation. We're going to sit down to eat first, and then we'll announce, after we finish, we go away from here, we'll announce the free time that we have. Okay?
What? Oh, no, do that. It's this way, by the way. Spend all my money. It's not charged for hooking.
Pull you in. Don't worry about that. We'll talk about the price.
Right here. Right.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen of both.
ساعة إلا 5 دقايق.
Yes.
God bless.
Solid build up of towards the way you can see the bevel stone. And this one was the observation tower, the security towers of museum. One more thing before we proceed. The red rooftop. Over there, you see the big antenna? This is the police. Street. We got it. And that street was the borderline. In the Israeli side, we had here erected walls of wood. The snipers from the walls of Benin would shoot down at Israelis. They didn't shoot back. And if you look up there, look at the bullet mark on the top. They were Jordanian. On the stone, you see them? All the provisional walls. Open mall that's connecting actually Jerusalem, West Jerusalem with this old